talk about Arendelle in Kingdom Hearts 3, it's not usually in a good light. This is maybe because you don't actually get to go to Arendelle. It should really be called the North Mountain. Or maybe it's the Frost Serpent Chase, or this awful minigame. Wait, what am I doing? Echoing the crowd. I'm supposed to be making a case to defend it. I am doing a really, really good job. Well, the truth is, I love Arendelle North Mountain, and I want to explain why. The biggest complaint I hear is that it's repetitive, as you're just climbing or descending the mountain over and over again. But that's the reason I love it. This level actually fulfilled a wish of mine, which is the idea and concept of, what if I could travel up different parts of this mountain to see what would happen? Let's go back to Kingdom Hearts 2's The Land of Dragons, as that has a mountain you ascend. The game forces you up a path, and that's fair enough, but imagine if before you began the ascent, you could go around to the other side to see if it would be easier. Realistically, nothing would probably happen, but I would at least know. I guess a better example is something like Skyrim. When climbing a mountain, it wants you to take a specific path. Being open world, you have the ability to go around and check for other paths. Or you can try and climb up the steep side. You'll get a certain distance and it will stop you from progressing. Whilst I have the freedom to attempt it, I'm not getting the satisfaction of knowing what's there. Whilst Kingdom Hearts 3 is still linear, as it makes you take the desired path, it still lets me explore every part of this mountain. I get to discover what could and would happen if I took that other path, and that's fascinating and wonderful to me. It's something I've wanted to experience as a concept for a while. I guess it's like colouring in a drawing, but instead of it being on a flat piece of paper, imagine a 3D cone. You want to fill in every section of it, but imagine if there was a block on one side that you weren't allowed to touch. It would feel unsatisfying because it's incomplete. This is my complete drawing. I can fill it in and explore it all, and that's amazing. What I think is more impressive than that though, is that the developers made each path completely different and unique. That is not an easy task for something like a mountain. But this video isn't going to be just talking about that. That would be insane. So let's talk about the bad and maybe try to look at it from a different perspective. I know this is supposed to be a defense video, but I don't think this world is perfect. I'll list what I think are its problems. The argument that it doesn't do a huge amount to progress the story. In every main entry Kingdom Hearts game, Sora is travelling to worlds looking for answers, and then when he gets them, he travels to the end game. This is no different. Sora is travelling to worlds to find ways to regain his strength ahead of the ultimate battle, but also discover the power of waking to rescue Ven and Terra, wherever they may be. Instead of locking a keyhole or opening a path, with each new world he visits in this game, he watches the various characters interact and realises just how powerful love can be. Sora has always known about the power of light versus darkness, and how loyalty and compassion and love can overcome a lot. But this time, Sora's older, and he's seen sacrifices and he's seen people brought back to life because of love multiple times. His heart is his guiding key, and he needs to feel that instead of just hear it. That is the point of every world he visits, and the point of Arendelle. True love will thaw a frozen heart. Next up, people say the Frost Serpent Chase is bad. I like it. I think it's an interesting fun challenge, but it does go on a bit too long. And on critical mode, sweet lord, it is rough. So, fair enough, I'll give you that one. Also, the bloody hungry gems on their tails. Why is this the only place in the game you can get it? And why is it not a guaranteed drop? It's only 20%! It's hard enough breaking off its tail before I kill it when I'm level 99, let alone even collecting the item when I have like 6 lucky items attached. Also, since Hungry Crystals also come out of the tails at 20%, I find I get Hungry Crystals a lot more than I get the gems. At least the crystals are with 3 other common enemies. These are super hard. Anyway, rant over. The Frozen Slider minigame. Okay, I actually really like this when you're just going for the high score. If that's all this was, that would be cool, but to find all the 10 treasures when there's absolutely no indication where they are, and you have to get almost all of them separately, is the biggest oof. I wouldn't mind if it gave you something you didn't need, or maybe each individual treasure gave you like a boost of some kind, but collecting all 10 items gives you an Orichalcum Plus, which is needed for the ultimate weapon. The thing I love about Kingdom Hearts 3 is it goes back to its roots in Kingdom Hearts 1 and tries to fill each world with multiple creative challenges and little subtle things to find, which is really nice. This particular instance is reminiscent of Deep Jungle Slide minigame, which you have to play a minimum of 5 times if you want to complete it fully. But this isn't a tiny linear branch where you'll see when you miss something. This is a giant mountain. I think it's gorgeous and really cool to travel down. They just made it more complicated than it needed to be. I think maybe a fix could have been multiple races, but like different paths, so middle path, left path, right path or something, I don't know. I like it, they just made it more complicated than it should have been. Genuinely, I love Let It Go being in the game. I know that some people hate it because it was everywhere for a while, but it is a wonderful, empowering moment from the original film, and the fact Sora, Donald and Goofy were there the entire time, and this is absolutely canon in my mind, makes this even more amazing. That said, shoehorning Do You Want to Build a Snowman was pretty weird. It just felt really out of place. And then finally, the last quote-unquote bad thing is you don't explore Arendelle or go inside Elsa's palace. Yeah, I don't know why. But speaking of ice palaces, I'm always a big fan of when one of the Xehanorts gets to show off their power. In this case, Larxene takes some of Elsa's magic and uses it to create a dark frozen palace. Whilst I am delighted about exploring the mountain multiple times, and I do genuinely love it, this is my favourite part of the level. There's a lot to love about this place. Its entire aesthetic as a snowflake palace is incredible. But for me, the music just gives me chills, pun absolutely intended. A slowed down, intense variation of the world theme truly does change the tone of this light-hearted wonderland, and rightfully so. Music makes every world better if it's done right, and this absolutely nails the vibe it needs. This place is a maze, and for all you know, there's no way out. That's pretty incredible. Final things to talk about, the Olaf minigame. It's just a nice little detour, and if you create the wrong combination, you can see thick Olaf, and that's pretty amazing. Next up, the enemies. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. The Winterhorns are without a doubt some of the cutest Heartless we've ever seen, and I feel bad for harming them, but needs must, I guess. As much as I complained earlier, you can't deny the Frost Serpents are genuinely gorgeous enemies and really fun to fight. Their wings look like stained glass, and it's just lovely to see, and it's so cool that if you concentrate your attacks on the wings, you can shatter them. And finally, the Helmed Bodies, which I decided to nickname Sled Bellies as they slide down the mountain to attack you. As difficult as large body variations are to take down, it's always fun to see which new incarnation they'll have, and this is no exception. And then we come to a brand new nobody. I was genuinely disappointed that dancers were not in this game. I love how they look, how they move, and even though difficult, I enjoy fighting them. However, this game introduces the ninjas. Larxene is one of my favourite organisation members, so I was delighted that she not only returned, but brought her own nobodies into the game. The ninjas are fast, agile, and deadly, very much like mini versions of her, which is why they're so fun to fight. But all these enemies pale in comparison to the bosses. Battling to a remix of Desire for All That Is Lost, Marshmallow is an awesome boss who doesn't mess around, as you'll need to use your blocking prowess to stop his heavy swipes. But what I love most of all is that you can utilise the trees in the snow to hit him just like the film, which is a wonderful touch. But that leads into Skull. Whilst it's a shame you don't fight hands because I would love to hit him in the face with a keyblade, this is a pretty awesome fight. As soon as the fight begins, it feels intimidating because, well, look at it! Skull is so quick to attack as well as escape, and it looks so cool doing that. It packs a deadly punch, summons awesome looking mini skulls, and its DM phase is just badass. The dark rain is such a gorgeous effect, and whilst it's always gloomy looking in the fight arena, I adore the lighting of the sky and clouds. It's perfectly atmospheric without it being a darkness sphere. And I guess that's my defense for Arendelle. I know I talked about different examples for liking the mountain, but it's a concept I think's pretty cool, and I wanted to put that view across in different ways to show where I'm coming from, because, yeah, I know I'm in a very big minority here. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, subscribe, share the video around. I also have a Twitch, a Twitter, and a Patreon if you'd like to support me in the channel. In fact, on Patreon right now, I have just started the next playthrough vote. So if you want to pick a game for me to play through and then have it voted upon, then yeah, go over to Patreon and check that out. But tell me, did you like this world before? Did you hate it? Did I change your mind about a thing or two? I'd love to know. But yes, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Stay safe.